Welcome to Queer Coded Country, where yeehaw meets yes, queen.
A podcast about growing up in the South and realizing that it's pretty dang queer. I'm Tucker.
And I'm Hunter.
And I just want to tell you congratulations, because
Thank you.
clearly you're going to some sort of wedding.
Well, it's my wedding.
Yes, and I'm happy to be your bridesmaid.
Obviously, always a bridesmaid, never a bride, as they say.
Honey, I need you to be putting the vibes out there, because I need to borrow that dress when you're done with it.
Honestly, Brian is going to freak out when we go from an episode about love to me in a wedding dress.
Just to be clear, Brian, we're not talking about your wedding tonight, but we are talking about our queen, our mother,
our savior, our everything.
Kacey fucking Musgraves.
You give me butterflies. When you said that, I got butterflies.
I mean, truly, because this is like a true connection between both of us. Like, we were friends before, but I feel like Kacey deepened our connection even more.
A deeper well, if you will.
Exactly.
And honestly, I've been in the deepest well all day, and I can't get out of it because I don't know that I've ever been more excited to talk about a human.
Lassie can fuck off, because keep me in the well. I am trapped because it's all about Kacey Musgraves.
It is.
But so, how's your mom and them?
Mom and them have never been fucking better, because we're going to see Kacey Musgraves this week. Special concert
in Nashville.
Honey. And I think we just have to get into it. And I think to do that, we need to, I know I'm always turning fashions.
Yes.
This is perhaps the first time you've brought a fashion. So
I will not stand for this slander, because I've been authentic to myself, which is what Kacey would have told us to do.
You're right. Okay. But
tell me, like, what is your inspiration and why are we dressed in a fashion look tonight?
So, to pay homage, as the girlies say, to Kacey, this was an impossible episode. And if it ends up being 2 hours, I'm sorry, but I promise if you listen to the end, it's worth it.
Yeah.
But we were like, what if we gave a little homage to like a song that meant something to us, an album that meant something to us? So that's why I'm dressed like this. I have mentioned it before, but Merry-Go-Round is one of my favorite songs to recall. Tiny little boxes in a row. Ain't what you want, it's what you know.
Yep.
This gown is Merry-Go-Round to me. This is what I would have ended up wearing at the altar had I not busted up my tiny little boxes. And now the full circle moment is that maybe I'll wear this anyway.
I mean,
but girl, I got this from Jonesboro's online.
From the source.
Online. I can't even talk. I'm so excited I already can't talk. Jonesboro's best online yard sale. It was COVID. I was fucked up. I saw someone post in this hometown Facebook yard sale that they were selling this dress with camo detailing. Sent a link to my friends. Started as a joke. Next thing you know, I'm negotiating gas money to drop off instead of pickup.
Yep.
I'm paying double the price, which literally I think I paid $125 for this.
Worth it.
It actually costs more to dry clean the smell out of it than it did to buy. But I would pay thousands of dollars for this.
Yeah.
I wore it as a theme in Fire Island. I've been itching for another moment to wear it. And this is honestly it. And I'm obsessed. So
to say it's one of a kind is truly not enough, because I need to paint a picture for everyone, because I'm the looker on.
That's true.
That's
true.
Corseted.
Cinched for the gods.
A white satin number with silver stitching across and rhinestones, but the core detail that we have here is the edging and the detail across the bustier and down the train of the dress, which is, is it mossy oak? Is it
I think it's mossy oak adjacent.
What is the camo that we're seeing?
Do you want to know what I really think happened? And I'm going to be totally honest. I think this is a David's Bridal original.
Yep.
Someone had a really crafty grandmother.
Yep.
And they went to Joann's Fabric and got the mossy oak adjacent material.
I was so proud to be able to strap you up in this. I felt like you were my daughter, and I was sending you off for the love of your life for at least the next 6 months.
And with that, You Are My Mother, a song by Kacey Musgraves.
Which I will be getting into.
The boots I'm wearing white
Lovely.
cowgirl boots, cow-they boots, if you will. I got these on Poshmark, and they were also someone's wedding boots. This is a divorced look.
Well, I think it's time we talk about me.
Oh, finally. For one moment. Okay.
Because
I'm going to take a sip of my drink.
Please
while
go
you
forward.
do. Tell me what you're giving.
So tonight I'm giving the latest work of art from Kacey Musgraves, which is Deeper Well, and something I totally connected with, coming through a healing period, a new chapter in your life.
Has your Saturn returned?
My Saturn returned, I think, like a year and a half ago or something like that. But it totally felt like when in this last year, I was going through that transformative period. So in honor of Deeper Well, I am giving you 70s country cottage core. I feel like it also is true to me to be wearing a bandana.
Yes. You're literally, you're salt of the earth. You're of the earth. This makes sense for you. I really love this for you. I love this for us. I love this gown. I feel at home in this gown. I feel at home with Kacey. I feel at home with you. I am ready to go. But before we do that, I think it's really important that we call back to something that producer Sammy birthed for us that changed our lives that we haven't revisited.
Yep.
And there is no better time to revisit it than tonight while talking about Kacey Musgraves.
I completely agree.
And that is the queer-coded Pledge of Allegiance. So I ask you, Deeper Well Tucker.
Yes.
Or Deeper Well Tucker's version, I should say. Would you lead us in the pledge?
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the fags of the queer-coded states of America and to the safe spaces in which we grew, one nation, under Kacey Musgraves, with yeehaws and yes queens for all. God damn, that felt good.
I mean, if that is our pledge.
This is our world. This is who we are.
You've stepped into queer-coded country. This is the world that you're entering.
And it's an actual country that we're creating tonight on the founding principle of Kacey Musgraves as our deity.
Yes. So, because there are not just the pledge, but there are multiple traditional
other
songs.
ways to be patriotic that some of us may have forgotten. And by us, I mean me, because I literally had to Google if America the Beautiful and God Bless America were the same song.
I mean, honestly, do we know the real names? May we never know?
No.
Francis Scott Key, we're sorry. But
probably
tonight,
Francis Scott Key sounds like a faggot.
You're stepping into our world.
That's right.
And we are going to rewrite the rules of what it's like to be in America under queer-coded country terms.
Because that's important right now for us to create spaces where we can exist and be free, and we can reclaim, just like this podcast is reclaiming so many things, we're reclaiming what it means to be a queer-coded little faggot in the South. And tonight we're recreating a world that we wish would have existed and that we can make exist through our love and friendship for one another and all the beautiful people listening.
Period.
Which, speaking of, if you're listening, we need you to like, we need you to subscribe. If you know Kacey Musgraves, DM her this episode. Tell everyone you know, anyone that's ever heard a Kacey Musgraves song, send them this episode, send them a clip, send them our whole pics. I will literally give you my whole pics if you send this to someone that knows Kacey Musgraves.
It does. It really means a lot. If you listen to us on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts, rate us, review us.
Rate us how hot we are. That's the most important.
Exactly.
Please comment about that.
That's what we're really leading with. That is our defining attribute.
We're very into validation. If you couldn't tell with this gown. So anyway, we had to say that.
Yep. Okay, so if there was a national anthem for queer-coded country, what would it be, do you think?
Follow Your Arrow.
100%.
Obviously, it's Follow Your Arrow. It is all about celebrating who you are, doing what you want to do, loving who you love, and just being the best version of yourself.
Yep, 100%. When the straight and narrow gets a little too straight, roll up a joint or don't.
Or don't, but follow your arrow. And that's the most important part. So if there's one thing at the core of our national anthem, it's that this is a place for you to be free to express who you are safely and with celebration and with love and care. So Love that.
So if there was an America the Beautiful, because it describes America in such a beautiful way, I think it has to be Oh, What a World.
Oh, what a world. I don't want to leave.
I want to be the vocoder on that. Oh,
there's all kinds. Literally. Oh, what
So
a world.
good.
The magic. Like, literally, there's magic everywhere. This is the world that we want to live in, where there's beauty, where there's acceptance, where there's absolute things that you can find in any nook and cranny that make living a little better.
And that is why that is America the Beautiful, because it's not just what you see, it's what you feel, and you have to look around to find it. And it's underneath the things that you may not deem as physically attributes of the space around you. You have to dig a little bit.
Am I going to cry already?
I am fully prepared to cry tonight. I
definitely think I'm going to cry tonight. Okay, so what is God Bless America?
Rainbow.
You're so right.
There's always been a rainbow hanging over your head.
I mean, in God Bless America's lyrics, which I Googled today, it talks about stand beside her and guide her.
Yep.
And in Rainbow, she says, if you could see what I see, you'd be blinded by the colors, red and orange and green, and at least a million others. That is how I want to guide people. I want to guide people in our world to see what we see, to see what we see in each other.
And that's what this song is about, is is someone else telling you like, hey, I know that you can't see, you're stuck out in the rain, but you've always had an umbrella, but there's always going to be a rainbow even when you need to put down the umbrella.
And you can let your umbrella down because everyone around you sees the rainbow and not the cloud. And if there is any God bless fucking America that I want to fucking bless, it's for people to see themselves in the way that other people see them.
You could see what I see. Oh, it's so good.
Also, ad-libbing this now, but for our title holders out there, every time we sing in unison, please take a shot unless you're driving in your car. Pull over.
Responsibly.
My country, 'tis of thee, as biscuits.
I just want to say, and I know we're going to get into the lyrics, but I have to say
it.
Putting your salt in my sugar is not going to make yours any sweeter. Pissing in my yard is not going to make yours any greener. And I wouldn't know about the rocks in your shoes. So, honey, you just do me and I'll just do you. Why do we have to be in everybody's business, especially queer people? You do not need to be in our business. We are not hurting anybody, and we are absolutely just trying to find somebody to love, as Kacey Musgraves said. So mind your own biscuits and life will be fucking gravy.
I'm literally taken at... I'm unwell because... Yes, burned my own finger poking someone else's fire.
Like,
also, let's just talk about the reason this is my country, 'tis of thee, is because every one of you motherfuckers listening right now saying, my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, at a kindergarten or elementary or preschool. I don't know when we're starting this shit now, but we all sang that fucking song. And what if everyone sang a song called Biscuits? Who doesn't love biscuits?
Oh, girl, I love a biscuit.
Honey. And the song was about, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
And we have all been taught that, but we have not been ingrained it in the way that we should have.
We spend all of our time preaching that line, but teaching our kids, my country, 'tis of thee, and not Kacey Musgraves biscuits. And to that, I say hate crime.
Period.
I think it's a disservice to the American queer-coded people to be teaching something that no one plans on practicing, that no one is actually doing, that they're going to hide behind whatever mental gymnastics and Christianity they need to put other people down. Fuck that shit. Let's talk about minding our own biscuits and life being gravy.
Hell yes is all I can say to that.
I'm already so
I know, I'm getting kind of juiced over here.
I'm literally, I always sweat. I'm going to be a puddle by the end of this episode. We have one more.
Yep.
Battle Hymn of the Republic. A traditional, like, we are marching on.
Yep.
It actually has a very nuanced history of like the way people came to the song has different meanings, whether you came to it for like war reasons or civil rights reasons. The whole idea is that our God is marching on. And if you haven't, the only other artist we'll talk about in this episode is Judy Garland's performance of Battle Hymn of the Republic. If you haven't watched that, please find it on YouTube. Watch it. Text me. Let me know your thoughts. But that's a powerful fucking song, and it's about marching on. And I would like you to declare loudly what we think our Battle Hymn of the Republic is.
It's High Horse.
Because you know what? I bet you think you're John Wayne showing up and shooting down everybody. But we don't have time for John Waynes.
No, we absolutely do not.
We don't want that in our queer-coded America.
You take the high horse, and I'm going to take the high road.
And honey, with the high road, we're fucking marching on.
And so let's march right on into why this matters to us. But before we like dig in very deep on that, not long ago, Hunter, myself, and a lot of friends were up far too late, watching the sunrise, listening to Golden Hour by Kacey Musgraves.
3 times through, by the way. 3 times all the way through.
And every time a song came on, I would say, well, y'all, this is her best one.
It's the best one. We literally were like standing up, debating every song as the best song with each other, as if we didn't agree that they were all the best song.
And it is in moments like that that Kacey means so much more to me, because it represents friendship and deepening connections, and the lyrics, and going even deeper into your relationships with other people when you dive into them. So I'm kind of curious if there was a song that you thought described our friendship by Kacey, what would it be?
God, honestly, Tucker, not...
Oh, Lord.
I need to take a drink of whiskey. Honestly, when I think about this, and when I think about us, and when I think about everything that we've been through, I think it's Love Is a Wild Thing.
Yeah, I love that one.
You can't find it sitting on a shelf in a store. Like, you can try to hide it, but it's gonna shine even more. I think the whole point of Love Is a Wild Thing is that you can't run from it.
Yeah.
You can't deny it. It is only something that is meant to be felt.
Yeah.
And I think that true love and like friendship or relationships or whatever it may be is always going to find you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she says.
And it
will find you.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm so grateful that we have a history at the University of Arkansas, and that we met in that line for Razorback tickets and all of these things. But I do firmly believe that if none of those things happened early in our lives, that we would have found each other at some point.
1,000%. It is like, even though there are obstacles in your way that are like trying to dim your light, if it's concrete and you're trying to bloom, if it's the wrong garden that you're trying to grow in, like, you will find the people that you need to find. And that is what happened to us. And my song that I think of when I thought about what our friendship was about, I actually thought about like lessons that I've learned from you and what you've imparted on me. And so my answer is Cup of Tea. And from Pageant Material, about not being able to be everybody's cup of tea, not because we're not necessarily someone's cup of tea, but if there's anything that I've learned from you, it's that you cannot listen to what other people think when you know deep down what's right for you. And I always think of you when I'm like concerned about something, especially if it's like related to like me being gay or anything. And I always think of you. So Cup of Tea. Yeah. I know.
Can you make a joke so that I don't cry? Well, you can't be Everybody's cup of tea.
Well, and honestly, too,
some
because
like it short, or some like it
bitter, some the sweet.
You're the sweet one. I'm the bitter one.
That's right. But before the podcast came out, I was kind of tripping a little bit because it is being so vulnerable and like truly having a microphone around other people. And I was really hesitant around what people might think. And when you talked me off the ledge, and I went home, and I was just walking home, and I was just like, cup of tea. I was like, and I listened to it, and I was like, holy shit, Kacey, there is a Kacey song for everything.
All roads lead to Bravo, and all roads lead to Kacey.
Exactly.
In our world.
Which we will try to do at any chance we can.
Tucker, I love you.
I love you too.
And that goes without saying. And I hope that everyone feels that. And I hope that everyone finds people that are their cup of tea.
Yeah.
And if you don't, fuck them.
Yeah.
That's what Kacey would say. Literally, fuck them. Okay. So we already kind of started getting into it, but I think that and we've talked about this already. We've obviously mentioned Kacey in the past. We've mentioned songs, whatever. But there is something very deeply personal in how we relate to Kacey.
Yep.
In the way she sees us as friends, as people that grew up in small towns. Yeah. Like, let's talk about that for a minute and why we have this immense love and obsession
clearly
with Kacey Musgraves. I don't believe in idolizing people because that's toxic, but I'm idolizing Kacey.
A little bit tonight.
She's a good person to idolize.
What's so funny is like how I was brought to Kacey was actually through my mom.
Sue Aaron again.
She sent me a message when I was in college. It was like 2013, and she was like, hey, I think you should listen to this song I really like, and it was called Follow Your Arrow. And obviously in the song, it's talking about not following the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
Kiss boys, kiss girls, if that's what you're into. And it's just about like doing your thing. And I feel like in that moment, she was like signaling like, it's okay. I love you. And like, there are all kinds of kinds out there. And yeah, that's how I came to her. And then dived in completely to Same Trailer, Different Park, which is her debut album at the time, and was really just dumbstruck with how much I related to the things that she was talking about, because she is from such a small town. And I listened to a podcast recently where she was talking about how like she didn't see diversity. She didn't have a variety of opinion in her hometown, but she got out and it changed everything. And that comes through her music in every song.
Yeah. I mean, similarly, I did not experience Same Trailer, Different Park when it came out. I was out of college living in Chicago, and I was kind of like seeking some connection to home. And I came across Kacey Musgraves. I remember weirdly texting my sister about Kacey Musgraves. And then I went into this deep dive. Like, I wasn't experiencing it as the singles came out. I wasn't, tuned in at the moment. But I have gone back and done such a deep dive. And the thing I love about any artist that is a powerful songwriter, but also just someone that really writes lyrics that hit home, is that you can listen to something 10 years ago and then listen to it now and hear something different.
Oh my God.
And I think that that's one of the powers of Kacey. She writes about things that you can only feel.
Yeah.
And maybe until you felt those, you don't connect that. And at the end of the day, what I discovered in all of this is like Kacey was the girl we came out to. Kacey was our title holder. She was our Paige. She was our Devin. She was our Ellen. Or mine.
Yeah.
Like she was that person. And that has never left her. Like that has remained true to her core and how she navigates every part of fame, of, country music, blurring of genres, all of these things. She's never abandoned that and never looked back. From day one, she said, I want to create space for people in country music that don't have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
In many ways, for sure, my journey of abandoning a lot of what I've known, of feeling like there wasn't a seat at the table for me, was because people like Kacey didn't exist. Or if they did, they were silenced, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a famous Kacey story. They told her she would burn in hell and she would never be played on country music radio with Follow Your Arrow. And she said, fuck them.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. And so I think that is why we feel so deeply connected, is because throughout every part of her, she never betrayed her morals that said, I will stand up for queer people.
Yeah.
I will be an advocate for queer people, even if it's at my expense. And that's what feels so heavy right now. And not to take this political, but it does feel heavy.
Yeah.
It does feel that people are willing to sail us down the river for cheaper eggs.
Yeah.
That's the message that we're being sent. And to have someone like Kacey Musgraves who said, fuck y'all, I can feel whatever I feel, but I'm not going to turn my back. I'm not going to betray this community of people that I love, that bring so much vibrancy to my life, so much love. And I think that is so important right now. And for anyone listening who either has found themselves on either side of that coin, or feels scared, or feels, it's okay to stand up for what you believe if it's different than what everyone else is saying. It doesn't jeopardize individual parts of your life. It means that you have the integrity to fight for people that you love and what you know is right, and how the world should be. And damn, I do feel connected, and it is so important right now in this political environment for people to behave like Kacey does with people like us, and for people like us, and for the ones that aren't out yet.
Yeah. Well, and even to your point, like being able to meet somebody that has come out to you, or that and having a personal experience with someone who is queer, like obviously that is very impactful and important. But beyond if you didn't even know that about Kacey, she, just through her music and through her lyrics, it's very clear that this person is open-hearted and open-minded. And that is just the takeaway of opening your mind. I think that's a lyric of hers.
Yeah.
And being receptive to different points of view, even though it's not necessarily the one that you were broadcast or surrounded by.
Yeah, and I think a big theme in Kacey's music is being allowed to change, being allowed to evolve, making it okay for things to change. And that's what I see right now.
Yep.
If we are upset that a priest is asking for the world at large and for Christian followers to have mercy upon the trans community, upon immigrants, upon queer people, why are we fighting against that?
Yeah.
Why are we not standing up and saying, actually, you're right. All other politics aside, whether it be, I don't know what your motivation is for leaning conservative or whatever, but I sat through the same sermons. I sat through the same church services, went to the same youth groups, went to the same camps where I was abused. I'm deflecting from the point, but I know that the message wasn't hate these people.
Yeah.
Don't show mercy on these people. Don't allow these people to live vibrant lives. It was fucking love these people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. Actually, I do know how, because that's what Kacey, it means to me.
Yeah.
People worship hymns and whatever. I literally have taken solace in her music to know that it will be okay and that I can sit here in this camouflage gown and cowboy hat and divorce wedding boots and know that it will be okay. And I think that's what she means to us.
And the central theme, which we just came off hot from our last episode, which was love.
Yes.
But like she proclaims to be a lover. Like she loves hard. She commits. She
fierce in her love, even if it means risking it falling apart. The love that you feel is more important than the fear of it going away.
100%.
And as a nice segue to lighten the load that we got really heavy on, but I'm glad we did.
Yeah, it's important.
Because I think it's important. I think also she means so much to us because at the age of like 8 or 9, she wrote a song called Notice Me. And that's very Tucker Travis coded.
Oh, bitch, you know I was writing stuff that was like, look at me. Notice
literally.
Me. I don't know what. Kacey, send us the demo because we need to know how it went.
I did try to Google what the lyrics were, and they're not anywhere. So whoever subscribes, swipes up to send this to Kacey. If we could get a special preview of those lyrics, that would be amazing.
Oh my God.
Beyond, okay, so we talked about what it meant to us, but just for the queer community at large, Kacey is an ally. Yeah. And not a performative one.
Yeah.
And that carries a lot of weight for little queer kids.
Yeah.
Especially queer kids in the South.
Yeah. You brought up a good example not long ago about someone had passed her a note of a gender reveal to do at a concert. And so she was like, you're having a boy, but please promise me that years down the road, if your kid doesn't identify with what they were assigned with at birth, that you'll love that kid no matter what. And that's why the central theme is love. And that's why Somebody to Love is so core to a great underscore of her whole discography. Yes.
And beyond that too, she's literally gone on record saying, I want to create space for queer people in country music. I'd rather have an all gay audience than compromise on what I believe. And also this, I think when I read this article, it was the most Kacey sees us. Kacey is an ally ever.
Yep.
When Deeper Well was coming out, obviously it was, we had lived the Renaissance. We had lived all of the summer beats. I'm going to read this directly because I feel like it's important to get it right.
Yep.
But I think it was The Cut or whatever magazine. She says, I feel like it is going to be a good, responsible respite for the gays. They've had their popper dance floor BPM anthems, and this is going to be a good chance for them to sit down, hydrate, reflect responsibly, and then get back out there. And honey, what did, at least for me, I do? I mean, she gets it.
She fucking gets it. And I followed the rules.
I did. I hydrated. Yes. I had a liquid IV because Kacey said to hydrate.
Honey, my skin has never been better.
Well,
but no, truly, I was listening to what she was talking about with her recent album Deeper Well, and she was talking about what she's learned from meditation and different learnings that she's had throughout, and she says that a lot of what she's learned is about removing resistance to growth.
Yes.
And growth also just a theme through her music about the natural world and things that happen no matter what. You can't stop. Love is a wild thing.
Yep.
And I truly, a lot of her music, especially Deeper Well, was very helpful for me in removing my own personal boundaries that I had set up myself.
Right.
To do the things and be the person that I would want to do, do this podcast, move to New York, do all these different things. And I'm not saying it's just because Kacey did it, but it was because it encouraged me to look inward and realize that I'm the one setting up the boundaries for myself that don't necessarily need to be there and that are stopping me from being the lightest, most happy version of myself.
Yeah. And I mean, she's literally queer coded as fuck.
Yeah.
One, she supports queer artists. She toured with Muna. She's toured with King Princess. Yeah. She's hosted Drag Race.
I saw King Princess and Muna open for Kacey when one of the tours.
I mean, incredible. And also Rainbow, which we've talked about, has become such a huge anthem.
Yeah.
But to your point, a big message in all of the music is just not holding people to being the same version of themselves and giving people the freedom to change and giving people the tools to question what's happening around us and question the world, and to do it in such a way that is like so beautiful
and so visual and also symbolic, and also she does a lot of symbolism in her work and a lot of metaphors and allegories, but I also think she does
I don't know what an allegory is.
Well, look it up. And but I'll get into it later, but sometimes she just puts it just like it is. But to the point of not trying to be held to the same standard from the first time that you come out with a single or whatever. During Star-Crossed, she came out with the song Justified, and I think this is the perfect way of her, and why I love her so much and why I think she is queer-coded too, is being able to also recognize like your own faults, and that didn't come out the right way.
No, but flaws, because she, I think that album, she really hits on some true emotions of weakness that people feel. And like not being afraid to say like, oh, actually, now that I've thought about this, I fucked up too.
Yes, like in Justified, she talks, the whole chorus is, you know, like, you could have treated me right. I'm justified in getting pissed or upset or laughing or crying. But in the last like chorus and into the end of the song, she says, I can be a little upset that I realize that I could have treated you right. And damn, if that is not some ownership of being able to say like
therapy.
Yes, some therapy, and just being like, I know that I have a role in all of my relationships and all of my activity in the world. And that, I don't know why, that just hits really home for me.
Well, she's also a big advocate of like, country music is supposed to be real.
Right.
We're supposed to be talking about real things, real emotions. The origin of country music is storytelling.
Yep.
And if we're telling stories that are not about real human experiences, then what are we doing? Which is a perfect segue into the hardest thing that I think I've ever done.
Same.
The most challenging hour I spent on Spotify ranking Kacey Musgraves' songs, ranking our favorite songs, analyzing some lyrics that we feel like all of the title holders out there listening to, regardless of their relationship with Kacey Musgraves, should give a chance. Like, this is literally, we're trying to get you to join a Kacey Musgraves cult.
Absolutely.
And one of the ways that we're going to do it is by selling you on some of our favorite songs and our favorite lyrics, which again, I repeat, this is no disrespect to any Kacey Musgraves song, because this was impossible.
It's a fool's errand to try to pick 10 songs that,
I mean,
that you feel the most passionate about.
Literally.
Because I have been listening, obviously, Kacey was my like top Spotify artist this year. And
since Spotify started doing that, she's on the
been
list.
In the top 10 for sure. And it's truly impossible, because every time I would hear it, just like the night or the morning that we were listening to
Bitch, you're like, oh,
Hour.
goddamn, that's the best one. Oh, shit, that lyric got me fucked up. Literally,
so
every time.
tough.
There's so much. You need to actually read Kacey Musgraves' lyrics as a book. And I famously don't read books.
Yeah.
I read emails. And I read Beyonce and Kacey Musgraves lyrics.
We got no other time for reading.
Yeah, no, not a lot of time for reading, but I do read the lyrics like books. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
How did you rank yours?
So because we're going to talk about like our favorite songs or like songs that we want people to know. And then we're going to dive in a little deeper into like specific lyrics because of how they're so queer coded or like what they mean to us. And hopefully they can impart something on other people or a message that they can take away. So for me, I just did some favorites and they are not in order and they cannot be held. Don't come to me tomorrow and ask me to repeat the list, because it's going to be a different list.
Yeah, because we might uncover different lyrics that strike us in a different way.
Yes. So I have a list of songs, and it's not exactly 10, because some of my favorites are the ones we're going to dive into our lyrics. And if I was to talk about each of these songs, we would be here all night. So I'm only going to pick a select few to talk about. But
Let us have it.
Number one, I think, is Happy and Sad. Because talking about Kacey can tell us a story, paint a picture that is meaningful and symbolic. But also sometimes, like I was saying earlier, you don't need a 50-cent word to describe how you're feeling. Sometimes you can say, I feel happy and sad at the same time.
Bitch. Well, what we haven't addressed is my Kacey Musgraves tattoos.
Yep.
And so as we go through this, I'll address them.
Point them out.
But that's one of them. Happy and sad at the same time. I remember walking down 9th Avenue. I had just fallen in love and I was so happy that I started crying because I was scared of what it would be and what would happen.
Yeah.
Like when she says, I'm used to the sky when the skies are gray.
Yeah.
That's a world that we've lived in. And so when they're not, you're like, oh, fuck. Is this fleeting? Happy and sad at the same time. I mean, it's
gorgeous.
I have nothing but love for that song.
Truly, I also have like a memory of me walking. I was living in Dallas at the time, and my friends had thrown me a surprise birthday party when I turned 29, and I had no idea. And I walked in, and they surprised me, and then I was a lot of my really good friends, and then out of the corner popped Catherine and Lee, who had traveled in from Arkansas, and I had no idea. And it's not you, it's the glow of the party, the way that you've got me. Well, they had
lit up inside.
And I remember, and Catherine and Lee and my friends, we like hung out all weekend, and then everybody had to leave. And on that Monday, I'll never forget, I was like walking around the neighborhood and I could not stop crying because I was so happy and sad. I was like, oh my gosh, like I have just had the thrill of a lifetime for my worlds to be colliding. And now I'm not sad, but I'm like so worried that I will never be able to bottle this feeling again.
It's a real feeling that I think people have that, again, I think she sings about things that people can only otherwise feel. And that's one of them.
And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll run through my list because I know we could get so caught up. But the guitar, there's like a little, I don't know if it's a slide guitar, but it's like the guitar is crying at the end, that which is also very like torn Natalie Imbruglia to me.
The slide guitar changed who I am.
Okay, so here's the rest of my list. High Horse, Late to the Party, Somebody to Love, Keep It to Yourself, Butterflies, which is like a great crush song. Oh, wait, we
love having a crush. We just talked about this.
I mean, truly. And also the one lyric I want to talk about with this, it is beautiful because it's alliteration, and
we love alliteration,
and it is so good. You untangled all the strings around my wings that were tied.
We talked about this one night. Untangled all the strings around my wings that were tied. You give me butterflies. We're talking about giving someone butterflies, but also giving them the permission to let their wings be free and fly. And that's what giving someone butterflies does. And God damn, it feels good to have butterflies.
And sometimes, even if that person doesn't stick around in your life a little more,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because the lesson that you learned, they untied some strings that you yourself couldn't untie. You had to see it through someone else's eyes, which is why freaking rainbow is
and now
whatever
you
anthem
have
we say.
Those wings untied to go to another person or thing or anything that you want, and now you've untied some wings.
It is so good. It is so good.
I'm exhausted by how much that song means to me. It wasn't even on my list. And now I want to put it on my list.
Okay, the final two. Not the final two, but the last two that I will run through is Slow Burn from Golden Hour, and then A Deeper Well Cut, Give or Take Her. And
Give or Take Her.
There's a part in that song where it's just a background vocal, and she goes, never, and it just hits my core so hard.
When she says, if I could take like what I need, I would take everything like take all of you.
Yep.
Like saying that if I had the choice,
Yep.
I would take everything you have to give.
Yep.
Ugh.
I know. It's so hard. Okay, so like how did you come to your list?
Okay, well, I couldn't.
Yeah, it's hard.
I literally couldn't. So I went the approach of like giving the title holders out there, everyone listening, like my underrated, like if you were to listen to Kacey, everyone's going to listen to Golden Hour.
Right.
Everyone's going to listen to the main songs, but what are the deep cuts that people should consider? So I did it that way. I only did 5. I do have a little bit more to say about them. I'm not as controlled as you.
It was hard.
If I'm getting long-winded, tell me to shut the fuck up.
It was a lesson in restraint.
Yeah, honestly, you're caged. You're Kacey caged vibes right now. You had to restrain yourself.
I can't wait to release.
And on that, I'll speak. I'll speak on Dandelion.
Okay.
Literally, this song is about a weed. But she said in an interview, like, well, people say that dandelions are just a weed, but they're beautiful. And for those of you that may be listening that don't come from a place where dandelions grow or there's not a lot of Southern culture, it is a tradition to pick a dandelion, blow the stems. Are they stems?
The seeds from the flower.
Seeds. I don't know about flowers or science. Blow them off and make a wish. What I love about Dandelion is that she's like mad at the weed. Mm-hmm. Like she's, a million little wishes blowing off the vine. Yep. But it's a waste of breath and it's a waste of time. Because I know, just like him, you'll always leave me crying. Dandelion. I mean, honestly, like wasted a wish on a weed is a thing that she says in that song. And there's just something so deeply beautiful about the human experience. She says in the beginning, like, picked you up and picked you out, hoping my luck would change.
Yep.
I took in the summer air and I took in superstition. It's a song about hope.
Yeah.
Really. It's a song about like thinking that this thing is going to change you, but really it's not. Therapy is going to change you.
Right. Well, and it's honestly not unlike merry-go-round in the sense that like this is like of the field that I have right here, I'm just going to pick somebody because it's what I know. And I am going to make a wish on this and hope that it sticks.
Yeah, 100%. The next one I chose was Back on the Map. And I it's just a good song about like, I'm lost. Was I the one who fucked up? Like I've strayed too far out of touch, too far out of reach. And I'm looking for someone to put me back on the map. Like it could be a friend. It could be a lover. Like just I'm admitting that I've gone astray and I need someone to pull me back.
And also, like, how fucking tough is it just to ask that question of someone else?
Ask for help.
Can you put me back on the map?
Put me back on the fucking map. I mean, I remember listening to this song in an era. I ADHD hyperfixate on songs.
Yeah.
All of the ones that I've chosen, I should have said this in the beginning, but all of the ones that I've chosen are songs that have struck me and I fixated on about 10 years after they came out.
Yeah.
So that was a time when I was like, fuck, I've gone off course.
Yeah.
Somebody bring me back.
But also, too, it's exactly what you were saying is like a beautiful piece of art teaches you something even years down
later.
The road that you didn't take from it the first time you listened. And also, you have a dandelion tattoo. Don't forget about the tattoo tour.
I literally forgot about the tattoo tour. Yeah, I mean, false wishes are like a part of my childhood.
I mean,
so yeah, the dandelion. Yeah, I mean, literally hoping that weed will change the trajectory of my life because we're latching onto anything to take us where we want to go.
Yeah.
So very similar. Number 3, Die Fun. Do we really have to grow up? Like, literally, if we never did, then so what? So what if I don't wanna? What if I'm just gonna stay drunk?
Yeah.
I mean, Die Fun is an anthem for like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Live your life.
Love
It's
hard,
now
live
or
fast.
never. All we're ever getting is older. So let's love hard, live fast, and die fun. Like before we go to heaven, baby, let's give them hell. Let's stop sitting and coloring inside the lines because it could be over.
Yeah. I mean, and that is a beautiful queer coded.
Yes.
You know, because you literally don't know what your path is going to have. Like you might be lost on the map.
Yes.
But still, I'm going to like live the life that I want to or that I feel called to during that time to be able to like make the most of it.
Because if not, you're just going to live this life being unhappy, not expressing yourself. Like, I would rather die fun.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying. Keep looking up.
Mm.
The intro, grew up in the sticks where there ain't no light, but the stars were big and bright. I mean, that's us.
Yeah.
Literally grew up in the sticks. I am scared to drive down the road I was born on now because it is so desolate. And the other thing that she says in that song is, if they told me no, I would ask them why. And then Daddy says, keep looking up, keep your head in the clouds. Like, another moment where I'm going to take a brief pause to not be emotional, but it's like, I heard that song, grew up in the sticks where there ain't no light. Like, that line alone
puts you in a place.
Puts me in a place. And to keep heads in the cloud, my coach, Wheels, if you're listening, I love you. One of the things that she says to me all the time, why can't it be you?
Mm-hmm.
That's keeping your head in the clouds. Like, grew up in the sticks, it doesn't matter. Like, create what is authentic and real to you and see where that takes you. Why can't it be you?
Yeah, that's like why dreams are so important in order to like get you out of your situation or like to keep you motivated.
Yeah. Okay, and the last one that is in my underrated that everyone needs to listen to is Dinner with Friends. Like, dinner with friends in cities that none of us live. Like, face that you make, or the face that you make when you give someone a gift. Like, the layers of the champagne cake. Like, all of the things that you'll miss when you're gone. And they are small. She wrote an entire song that is just little moments that make her happy. And this calls back to last episode when we were talking about like these expectations of what it means to love someone or be in love or show love. In so many ways, the things that we're going to remember are the little things.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember the stupid memes that not Kyle Richard memes combo, but I'm going to remember the like, you know, the group memes. Message, the stupid things that we said to each other in Fire Island, this dress, like, it's the little things. Like, that is one of the most beautiful songs that I've ever heard.
100%. I'm going to talk to you about an example that you and I both experienced today when our friend Sophie was texting us and she said, I was listening to your podcast and it felt like we were a couple drinks deep and we were having dinner.
Yes!
That's
dinner,
what it is!
Dinner with friends in cities that none of us live. We kind of dug into lyrics a little more than probably anticipated, but I also think that there's a really... So favorite songs. So Tucker listed favorites. Please find them. We'll post a Spotify playlist of all of these songs. Please listen to the underrated ones, the deep cuts. That's where you're going to really substitute therapy for a Kacey Musgraves song. But we also wanted to like analyze a little deeper some lyrics. Really, the scam of it all is that we tried to set this up to where we could talk about as many songs as possible without y'all getting tired of it. And if you're tired of it, I promise keep going. The end of this episode will change your life. You'll be changed by the end.
I know. I wish somebody was like keeping track of like which ones we've mentioned so we could figure out which ones we need to do in part 2.
Yeah, part 2. Because after we see Kacey this week, we're going to have a part 2 because we're going to have come to Jesus, close to God experience.
100%.
Okay, so do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So the first one I'm going to talk about is Mother on Golden Hour.
Deep dive Mother.
It is a less than 2-minute song, I think. And it is truly some of the most beautiful lyrics I've ever heard, even if it is simple. There's a line in it. So the song is about her thinking about her mother and her being emotional. And it's kind of like a letter to her mom. And she goes, I hope my tears don't freak you out. They're kind of just coming out. And the next line is what really gets me. She goes, it's the music in me and all of the colors. And I have never heard somebody talk about their emotions in a way that I could ever describe how I feel on the inside.
Yes.
Because I can't pin one emotion to one feeling. I just think that is the most beautiful way that I can describe that. And it makes me think about my mom.
Yeah.
And how I try to not be emotional with her because I don't want to upset her or freak her out or make her worried about me in such a way. But even though on the inside, I'm it's the music and it's all of the colors that I can't necessarily describe in a specific way. And the end of the song, she says, I'm thinking about my mother and she's probably sitting there thinking about her mother and missing her mother. And it makes me think of my mom because my mom lost her mom in a very tragic way. And it was very impactful to her, and she still misses her mom every day. So when I listen to that, I think of her, and I'm thinking, and I know she's sitting there thinking about the time of slipping and missing her mother. And it is just a song about generational importance of family and emotion and wishing you could say the things that you want to say, even though if it's just music and colors.
But the music in you and the colors are your mother.
Yeah.
That's also part of that.
Yeah.
Is that she's saying it's the music in me and all of the colors. That's what she wants to express. But it's also that is what her mother is to her.
Yeah.
And how she expresses herself to the world and what she's presenting and what you're presenting here is your mother.
Yeah.
It is Sue Aaron taking you to Pine Bluff Dance Academy, introducing you to Kacey, she gave you the music and all of the colors that are Tucker Travis.
Yeah.
And that is one of the most beautiful things that could exist. And that's exactly what Kacey is singing about.
Yeah.
And what an absolutely beautiful song. And also, she says in another song, we were just listening to it, and I'm emotional now, so I'm a little frazzled, but a kiss full of color.
Yeah.
She says that as well.
Yeah.
And I think that the connectivity that she has with her music and the evolution of it and giving us what I call cousin songs.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I did is think about the different versions of songs.
Yeah.
And how early Kacey it was this and that. And I think you did something similar.
Yeah.
So do you want to share that one?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do another one?
Yeah. So I love the song. It Is What It Is. And I think It Is What It Is was on her first album. And then Hookup Scene was on Starcross. But It Is What It Is a hookup song. Her grandmother calls it the slut song. And I heard in an interview, she was like, that slut song. But she says, we don't have to talk. You don't have to stay. Maybe I love you. Maybe I'm just bored. It is what it is until it ain't.
No more.
And hello, gay experience.
Truly.
Hello, grinder hookup. Hello, this world where it's it doesn't have to be a thing, but I ain't got, well, I ain't got no one sleeping with me.
God.
Like the way that song. And so then years later in Hookup Scene, like she starts with like, this hookup scene ain't what it used to be. You get your fill and then you leave empty.
I mean, and honey, if I know anything about leaving a hookup empty,
honey, and that could be many reasons that we leave empty, but it's just back to being different versions. There was a time in her life where she's like, I ain't got no one sleeping with me. I'd rather it be you. And then in Hookup Scene, she flips it back and she's like, you know, this isn't fulfilling. This isn't what I want.
Yeah.
If you have love out there, hold on to it. And I think that's one of the things that comes through in the Star-Crossed album is how vulnerable she's willing to be with true emotions about potentially knowing that something isn't right, but holding on to it because you'd rather hold on to that than go back to the hookup scene or go back to it is what it is. Like it's easier said than done to love someone. Like that is the part that I think if people unlock that side of Kacey, you'll be hooked forever because she's saying, doesn't matter if you're horny, doesn't matter if you need a hookup. You can admit that maybe you would rather have something that's not as great as you want than be in this world. And ultimately she comes out of it, you get out of it, you come on the other side, but it's okay in moments to cling on to something that maybe wasn't serving you because the alternative doesn't serve you either.
It's the lessons learned.
Correct.
Like if you look back on, even if you're hooking up post breakup, getting under somebody just to get over somebody, like the lesson you can come away with was like, well, that wasn't right. And actually, I kind of wish I would have held on to what I had, but now I know what I actually want to hold on to in the future.
Yeah. And it's okay to feel, listen, we felt that emptiness.
Yeah.
I literally have walked away from hookups and been like, post-nut clarity. Whoa.
It's a post-nut clarity song. It is a post-nut clarity song.
Post-nut clarity. Thank you, Kacey, for giving us that.
I mean, okay, so I want to talk about another one now. Dime Store Cowgirl, which I know you love.
Another tattoo. Yes. I have Dime Store Cowgirl tattooed here.
Because I was listening to it the other day and I was like, holy shit, it's come full circle for me.
Yeah.
Because there's a line in there, she goes, had to get away so I could grow. And I was like, if that's not Dolly Parton Wildflowers and getting out of the garden that you were grown in to be able to understand and learn, I had to get out of DeWitt. I had to get out of Fayetteville. I had to get out of Dallas. And like, I want to keep growing and like keeping the core of who I am, but just getting embellished with all these other things from the experiences that I have had and the people that I've met. And that is what Dime Store Cowgirl is about.
Yes, that's a song I came back to later in life because I didn't want to be a Dime Store Cowgirl when I left. I didn't want to accept that. I didn't want any part of that. But now I'm like, that's all I'm ever going to be.
Yep.
I'm sitting in a fucking camo wedding dress and camo cowboy hat. And like,
you're thousands of miles away, but it doesn't look like you've come too far.
I have not. But that's the beautiful thing about that song is like, I'm just a girl from Golden.
Yep.
Bono. I'm just a girl from Bono.
Well,
I'm just a they, them, he, him.
Exactly.
From Bono.
What another line in the song that truly I think is like some beautiful songwriting is, I'm happy with what I got because what I got is all I need. Just because it doesn't cost a lot, don't mean it's cheap. And that is what that wedding dress is right there.
Just
it
because it don't cost a lot, don't mean it's cheap. It means something.
And it meant
someone.
And it meant something to someone else, no matter where they are in the relationship. That was a moment in their life, and it could have been cheap, it could have been expensive, but it means a lot to them. That's why it is priceless.
And now it means a lot to fucking me.
Exactly.
I could go on about that
Your
song
turn.
forever. Okay, so another what I would call like sister songs, cousin songs, Oh What a World, and The Architect. We've talked about the fact that Kacey is so okay with questioning the world. She's very famously a stoner.
Yep.
I said the albums need to be experience touching grass, maybe also doing shrooms or some other psychedelics. Yes. Like, I think it's very known that she partakes in that world. And one of the most profound things that I've connected to with her is her ability to question the world. Yeah. And I went through extreme religious trauma. Yeah. And I questioned everything. And I had to figure out where my place was and what it all meant. And these two songs do exactly that. Like when she says, how did we get here? Nobody knows. Did I know you once? In another life? Are we here just once? Or a million times? Like, I mean, I literally could go, but like it's like, but what I know is that I'm here right now. And that's all that matters. I know what I feel.
Yeah.
And it's in the moments that she's questioning the universe and questioning the world and questioning all of these things. She goes back to, well, all of these thoughts don't matter. What I know is how I feel right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to lean into that because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Because I know that to be true because I feel it right now. So I can question all of these things, but right now I feel this. And then the other part of that is The Architect, which my God. I know you love.
I kind of love that we've reversed the roles a little bit.
I know, because you actually were the one that made me think about The Architect in the way that I did when we were talking about it. But it's like, there's a canyon that cuts through the desert. Did it get here because of a flood? Is this thought out at all or just paint on a wall? Like, can I speak to the architect? Like, what is this? Something as simple as an apple?
Yeah.
And then when she says, could I pray it away? Am I shapeable clay? Like, can I speak to the architect? Like, to me, that's the evolution of Oh, What a World, is like, I'm still here questioning this. And there's so much fucking beauty in this. But can I assign it meaning?
Yeah.
Is it, happenstance? Or is there an architect? And if there is, can I fucking talk to him? Because I got questions.
I need to see the blueprint.
I need to see the blueprint. I need it laid out.
But I mean, to that point, like, of Oh, What a World is very much like, I'm here right now and that's all that matters. And that is a beautiful feeling. But then you can get so overwhelmed in the world of like, all that matters is right now. All that matters is here. And it's like, sometimes it's like, no, damn, I got some questions. I need to be asking who the hell set this up.
Exactly. And I think that that's part of what we are fearful of in evangelical small communities is to even question it.
100%.
I'm not telling anyone how to live, what to believe, whatever, but I am asking that people question why or what is driving this. And that's this beautiful part of the songs. There are so many more that I think she speaks about the like human experience, but those two have such similar vibes where it's like, there's all of this beauty in the world. There's all of this imperfect beauty.
Yeah.
There's all of these things. What does it mean? And how do I interpret that? Yeah. Right?
What happens when you ask a question? You get a fucking answer.
I was about to say, is that a quiz? No, I suddenly got ACT scared and I was like, are you asking me a fucking question? I don't know.
Scared. I love that.
ACT scared.
But like literally, what happens when you ask a question? You get an answer and you use that and apply that. And that's why I think questioning everything from where you want to live to like what you might believe is so important, because it might reinforce what you believe. It might make you give a new perspective to what you believe. And that's why I think like The Architect is a perfect song.
Yeah. One day you're on top of the mountain and then ember and ash carries wind at your back and it burns your whole house to the ground. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fucking
And then,
fuck.
I mean, the thesis of the song is at the end of it when she posits the question, is there an architect?
To be determined.
Yeah, to be determined.
We in the House of Queer Coded Country believe that Kacey is the architect.
Yeah, right.
So maybe she should call
Honestly,
in.
honey, she built this goddamn house because truly we broke down Deeper Well track by track.
By track on the phone together.
Which is why we were like, it like tumbled into this whole situation that we're sitting in right now.
And here we are.
So this is a cousin song situation like you were talking about. So these are really they're both queer coded songs about knowing deep down something about you and something core to who you are.
You're about to fuck me up. I can tell.
So you already brought this song up earlier, which is Love is a Wild Thing. And the lyric is, you can't find it sitting on a shelf in a store. Why, bitch? Because it's inherent to who the hell you are.
It is
individual, and it is all about what you are. And if you try and hide it, it's gonna shine even more. Because, damn, if that is not the queer experience in some way, there are some people who can truly dig deep down and stuff and repress and push it down. But there are other fucking ways it's gonna come out, no matter what it is. If it's in the shadows, if it's online, or wherever it's gonna happen, it is going to come out in some way, and it's going to shine even more in some ways, even if it's the anger because you don't know how to channel your own sexuality.
Keep going.
Or if it's something that you know that is actually really fucking special about you. And like it is the light that you know, in preschool, if you went to like a church preschool, they say, I got a light. I'm going to let it shine.
Yes.
But like truly, like even though I knew I was like gay from a young age, like I knew that it was something unique about me and I didn't know how to channel it, but I knew that the parts of me that were gay that made me likable and palatable to other people and entertained other people were the parts of me that were true to being gay. You like the light? You want to get in the light? You want to have a laugh with me? Well, guess what? You're going to have to realize being the full lamp, babe.
And honestly, they're like, love is a wild thing. Like our light is a wild thing.
Yeah.
You can try to hide from it. You can try to run from it. You can try to ignore it. You can put it wherever you want, but it's going to shine even more.
Exactly.
And I think that's the connection that you're making, that like, bitch, try to dim us.
Yeah, try
to dim us.
You can't because...
Honey, because we're in gowns and headscarves.
Okay. So you were right. The cousin song is There Is a Light.
There is a light.
So she goes...
I'm shaking my titties up here.
But to your point about being an evolution, like you can't hide it. It's going to shine even more, which is exactly what she says in There Is a Light. She goes, I tried not to show it to make you feel good, pretended I couldn't when you knew that I could. And holy shit,
sister,
like truly, like I had this light the whole time and I knew that it was something positive about me, and I knew that it's what was going to make me connect with other people in a way that I couldn't connect with this one person, because it's a breakup song and it's about coming out on the other side of that. But it makes me think I was in a really dark time in early 2024, and it was right before I moved, and I was like, what do I do with my life? Where do I go? And I was in my car, and it has this amazing flute breakdown at the end. And I started to cry. Shocking.
You text me. I don't know if you remember.
No, I do.
You text me.
No, this is like a weird like angel moment for me. Like it's this flute moment, and my grandbo, the same mother of my mother, and she played the flute growing up, and she was a beautiful flautist. And in that moment, I was like in the darkest depths of like not feeling right, not feeling like myself. And I heard that flute, and it brought me out of something.
Oh, that's so
no,
beautiful.
And it really was. I was like, I think this is a message from my grandbo. And
yes, it was. Kacey speaks to the other side.
Like it really
and brings messages down.
And she was like, there is a light inside of me.
There's so much fucking light inside of you, Tucker.
And you too, babe.
There's so much fucking light.
And I'm just like, it just hit me in a huge way. And I was just like, if any queer person can like take something away from that and like know that like whatever somebody is trying to tell you about something not being right, or you need to pray it away, whatever, there's have
nothing
a light
to pray away.
Exactly.
Let's make that clear. There is no prayer that will dim these lights
No.
because we are meant to shine.
Exactly.
And that is a hill and a horse I will die on. Okay, now that we're ready to die on horses and hills, are we ready to fight for Kacey? I was premature earlier in fighting for her.
Yeah.
But I'm very passionate about the segue is perfect.
Yeah.
Justice for Justified.
Star-crossed.
I mean, yes, I was getting too excited because Justice for Justified is
we love alliteration.
And we've talked about alliteration. Yes. Justice for Star-crossed.
Oh,
okay.
My God.
Obviously, similar to how any child born after us would have lived in a shadow. Star-crossed lived in the shadow of Golden Hour.
Yeah.
And I think that's an unfair
album
comparison.
of the year by the Grammys.
I mean, every song is the best song. But I think people just didn't give her the chance.
Yeah.
And I think they were unfair. And I think if they really took the time to listen and watch the visual album, they would have changed their mind.
It is just, okay, so like you were talking about, like it is misunderstood in a way because it did come after Golden Hour and it had such a different sound, and people were also like, her divorce had been in the headlines, and like people were putting a lot of unjust expectations on someone
because a woman, go figure.
Because no one deserves to have those kinds of expectations put on them, but for it to be a certain type of way and to like blow everything out of the water, when how could you expect that from someone who is it's a breakup album, and how can you expect something to sound similar to what you have heard before after you've come out of a breakup?
And why do you want it to?
No, you shouldn't.
Back to the original, one of the core tenets we love about Kacey is that she doesn't want us to have to be the same. She doesn't want us to have to sound the same. She doesn't want us to have to present the same. She doesn't want us to have to live on a one-track mind of our life. And this was a different expression. And I think that what it is that I love about it is that she takes us through every stage of a breakup and grief and a cycle that a lot of people are afraid of.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't willing to admit that they feel these ways. And it's a level of vulnerability that a lot of people can't access.
Yeah.
And I think people just wanted to like say that it wasn't Golden Hour or say that it was like the White Girl's Lemonade or whatever. And it's like, okay, have your opinion, but let's sit with the lyrics and the vulnerability and the beauty. And I will try to do this as quickly as I can, but just thinking about it and like how all of the different like stages that you go through and the arc of a heartbreak, like denial, red flags, good wife, right? Should have known, right? And then moves into like an era of like, well, what if we hold on? You're my cherry blossom, baby. Like, let's not let this go away. Like, I want to hold on to the good times.
Yeah.
And then you go into this like fantasization of like, well, what if it was different if this was a movie, right? You're fantasizing all of the different scenarios. Then bitch, you break up. Yeah. And it's justified. Yeah. And it's like, I'm mad, you're mad, we're mad. If I'm mad a little and I need time to process, you're like, okay, I'm through all of these stages.
And I just want to say something on that too, is like the anger too about being really fucking honest. And I guess I kind of said this earlier, but like being really honest about like, I'm angry as fuck at you, but I'm also angry at myself.
I'm angry at myself, right? It's acceptance. Then you get to Breadwinner, which is like, oh my God, wait a minute, moment of clarity. I've found my self-worth. I was a breadwinner in many ways. I do have value. And then you transition to, if it doesn't kill me, what doesn't kill me? like, hello, speaks for itself. I'm fine, moving on.
Yep.
But then sometimes you move on and you have a sad day. Don't go through your camera roll so much you don't know. Like, hello.
That song was nominated for a Grammy.
That's because it's a true emotion. And if you listen to the songs in order, you see that it is okay. I hit the mic. I'm so passionate.
Yep.
It is okay to go from a moment of empowerment to a moment of vulnerability where you spend a day looking at old photos. When you're sad, when you cry, maybe you look at those dick pics that once got you hyped up.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah.
You go back to this place. It's okay. It is a normal thing. It doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you've regressed. It means you've had a sad day and you pick up and you don't go through your camera roll and you move forward.
And can we talk about just a song that is like for the times and written for what people
literal camera roll,
like a true camera roll? And I just think that is like, a lot of people don't know how to like write about technology in a way, and she did it in a beautiful way that was emotive,
so relatable.
And one thing I have to say about camera roll at the very end, she goes, "There's one where we're having so much fun, and I took it in the sun or something, and I made you take it," and that's the last line. And the "I made you take it" part, I have no idea what she actually intended by that, but I think it in my version of it, it is her saying and acknowledging that
I forced you to do this.
I forced you to do this. Yes, and that's when I should have known.
I was happy and you weren't. And I made you take that one. And in that moment, I knew it was done, but I made you take it.
Like literally, it is a fucking masterpiece.
God. Okay. And then we move into the looking up era, which we've talked about. It's like head in the clouds.
Yeah.
And then there is a light, which we've talked about. It's like this empowerment. There's a light inside of you at the end of the tunnel. But I would be doing a disservice to not acknowledge the fact that she ends with Gracias a la vida.
I mean,
which I admittedly was not familiar with.
I didn't know it either.
It is a Chilean folk singer named Violeta Parra. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Sounds right to me.
I've had a lot of whiskey and I really want to honor her because this is a beautiful song. It is very known in the Latin music community. Yeah. And Kacey ends the album with it. And the translation of Gracias a la vida is thanks to this life. And what I think is so significant about it is that literally this was one of the last bodies of work that this person put out before they died by suicide.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the magnitude of hurt that you can feel, the magnitude of the world, the magnitude of love, how heavy things can feel. And it is very intentional that she chose to cover this song. It is a widely covered song. It is a world-renowned song, but I think it's very intentional that in a visual album about her divorce, that she has this song present and is speaking to, yes, I had this arc, but at times it was that heavy.
It honestly, Hunter, it makes me think exactly about what we were talking about last episode, about even in the sadness and in the breakup, wanting to feel all of the emotions and even being thankful for the sad things.
Thanks to this life.
That brought me sadness because they gave me other perspective. They showed me the other side of what I was thinking about. And that is a wonderful way to go out and just say, like, I'm thankful for life in terms of everything it's going to give me. Like I said in the last episode, like, I'm even grateful for the relationships and breakups that I've had because it's only taught me how to be thankful for the other beautiful things in my life.
But that is, again, back to one of the core values that I align with is like, even moving out. Like Autumn's moving in and we're moving out. Devastating. Kacey has been divorced. She's had a great love. But it didn't keep her from experiencing those things.
Yeah. She's a lover.
And we're lovers.
Yeah.
And we love each other.
Yeah.
Well, hey.
Listen,
I could sit here in this David's Bridal Custom Couture for another 7 hours.
Yeah.
We barely scratched the surface.
I'm shook that we've gotten through in the time that we have.
I don't know how long we've been sitting here, but I want more time.
Yeah.
But I do think for our parting shots, if we haven't convinced people, title holders, listeners.
Yep. Soon to be title holders once they get on the Kacey train to love Kacey. What are some parting shots we can leave them with to like help them love Kacey? I'll go first. Please.
She was a contestant on Star Search, which is a fucking pageant.
Abso-fucking-lutely, which she clearly writes about in pageant material.
There's certain things you're supposed to know when you're a girl who grows up in the South.
I mean, that is truly like everything is a pageant. She was on Nashville Star too. Like,
oh, that might have been it. Fucked it up. Sorry, Kacey.
But like, regardless, I'm sure that Kacey felt pressured to like be in pageants. I know that Golden Texas has a pageant, honey.
A bitch. Golden Texas has a lot of fucking pageants.
I love that she is willing to have different experiences and try new things, like she does with like shrooms and acid.
She wants to live. She believes in extraterrestrials. I read.
Yeah,
I did read one headline today. She's otherworldly. She wants to talk to the mothers and daughters.
But I was gonna say, some of the songs on Golden Hour were written after experiences that she had after taking psychedelics.
Well, bitch, I take psychedelics and all I do is talk shit on Grindr. What am I doing?
Well, you need to get a pen and paper,
honey. I can't write. So I can't read.
She wrote Slow Burn after having a psychedelic experience, and I just read today that she wrote.
You read too.
Yeah, I also
We've been reading about our girl Kacey.
But she also wrote Mother after having an LSD experience.
Well, fuck if we need to go.
If that's not the music in me and all of the colors.
Bitch. Okay, another thing that I would like to say is that I know we've already talked about the holidays and I don't want to belabor this, but Christmas makes me cry. Someone that's not afraid to acknowledge that sometimes the holidays are hard.
Talk about happy and sad at the same time.
Talk about that. Also, rumored to be working with Beyonce. I mean, talk about something that will take me out.
I mean, that would be so fucking incredible.
I will spontaneously combust.
So, something about me is that on my Saturday mornings, I love to sit in coffee in bed and watch Architectural Digest Open Door, which is all about celebrity tours of their homes, which is just grown-up cribs. And Kacey did one of her home and it was beautiful, which she has since sold to none other than our other queer loving favorite, Kelsey Ballerini.
I fucking learned this from you telling me that today, and that shook me to my core because 1, that's sisterhood.
Yeah.
2, that's country music.
Yes.
And 3, that's on healing.
Yes.
The fact that these women didn't use brokers, didn't use whatever, communicated with each other and share a healing house from their divorce. Are you fucking kidding me? 2 title holders of Queer Coded Country, 2 founding members, 2 people that mean the world to us. I am absolutely in awe of both of them, and I'm so thankful for that exchange.
And so I did read that, and I know that actually went down, but I don't know how long they were in escrow. if all of that went down, you know, what $1 million
pay cash?
Yeah,
did Kacey leave anything?
What are the contingencies?
Behind? Yes, we don't know any of that. We know that it was rooted in love.
Exactly.
It was rooted in 2 queens that were healing. And I sit before another queen that's healing. We're on our healing journey.
And can I say one thing about healing? It doesn't happen in a straight line, baby.
Bitch, we can't go any further after that. Healing doesn't happen in a straight line. That is where we leave this.
Yeah, that's right.
There is many more things to say, but none that we have time for on this episode.
I think we just have one other thing that we need to say.
We need to go into You Fucking Almost Forgot because we're so worked up.
I always do.
It's time for Yeehaw to Yes Queen, the part of the show where producer Sammy will flash things on our screen that we are not aware of, and we will rate them on a scale of Yeehaw to Yes Queen. Producer Sammy, give us our first one. Battle hymns. Well, that's a gay party.
Yeah. So, obviously, yes, queen.
Lady fag, yes. Battle hymn, yes, queen. But also, I think just in general, like marching on, honey, we're marching.
I think anything that's a battle hymn that you're ready to like yell and scream and cry before you go into battle, that is fucking yes,
yeah,
queen.
That's community.
Yeah.
That's community. All right, next. Alliteration. That's yes, queen.
I think it is yes, queen.
I mean, as a yeehaw past life, I didn't know much about it. I did learn about it in the ACT prep course that led me to the 31, but alliteration is cunty.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. If you want something that sounds nice, you're alliterating, honey.
Something that sounds nice, you alliterated for the alliteration. Next.
Slide guitar. Oh, this one's actually really tough.
The slide guitar, my panties are wet.
Yeah.
I didn't know how much I needed the slide guitar until we saw Kacey live. And actually, I see a future where I collect like slide guitars from like country singers that I love.
I think that would be beautiful. So, what are you saying?
I think it's yeehaw because there is such a unique sound. It hits a part of your world that is, even if you're a little yes queen, so yeehaw, it takes you to a place where you're underneath the light of a neon moon. A cover that we didn't talk about, but makes me feel.
And I think I'm also going to say yeehaw on the slide guitar because it is undeniably country music when you hear that. And even if you hear it in something that is a crossover track, you're going to love it and you're going to say, that sounds a little bit country. And for that reason, it's yeehaw.
And honestly, Tucker.
Yeah.
There's going to be more of this.
Yeah, I think so too.
I've just gotten started.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's a school night. So we will leave you with the part of the episode that we still haven't mastered.
We're going to try.
How do we start? Oh, shit. You don't like to go down. Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all come back now, you queer. Queer Coded Country is created and hosted by Hunter Poole and Tucker Travis, produced and edited by Sammy Junio.